Yeah, I call the area behind me, I call it our Hiroshima.
It obviously wasn't a nuclear bomb that exploded on Michael Frank's property, but it sure looked like it. This is generations of damage left by a ruptured crude oil pipeline.
There was green patches of oil everywhere, and it's kind of hard to even know what you're looking at, like where's it coming from?
It was coming from a 7-year-old pipeline that ran under Michael's 150-acre ranch in Leon County. That's about 30 miles north of Huntsville, Texas. It's called the West Texas Gulf Line, 26 inches in diameter. It runs 466 miles from Colorado City, Texas to the Texas Gulf Coast. Hundreds, if not thousands, of barrels of oil poured out of the corroded pipeline, then down the once pristine Pine Creek, contaminating properties at least 6 miles downstream.
One Sunday morning, I was sitting out having coffee in here. The cops came, and they said not to burn anything, and there's an atrocious smell.
You can usually find Nick Carter in the Centerville town square. He's the town's barber, and he owns 40 acres along Pine Creek.
I actually met him because of the oil spill, running around trying to see where all the oil was. And like then I found out he was a barber. I'm like, well, I need a haircut.
My horses drink out of that. I had to bring the horses up to the front of the pasture. Just messed up the creek. It was Pine Creek. It's supposed to be a spring-fed branch. It had a lot of oil in it.
Still just shell-shocked by what we saw and what we encountered, the magnitude of it. This is actually the largest oil spill in the history of Leon County.
And the folks who finally came in to start cleaning it all up knew how bad it was too. They knew who was responsible for the oil spill, and it was a company with an ugly environmental history already. Energy Transfer, a multi-billion-dollar pipeline company headquartered in Dallas.
When we build a pipeline, safety is our top priority.
The company bought the pipeline 10 years ago, but the West Texas Gulf Pipeline had already had 4 previous incidents, spilling, they claim, thousands of barrels of oil. But what happened in Leon County was clearly far worse.
We consider this one of the largest environmental disasters in the state of Texas.
Nick, Michael, and more than a dozen of their neighbors are asking for millions of dollars now in damages for this Leon County oil spill. Think that's bad? Check this out. Just look what happened in Pennsylvania.
The company Energy Transfer Operating is facing criminal charges over systematically polluting waterways and residential water wells.
A landslide, an explosion. Energy Transfer and its subsidiary hit with $43 million in fines for systematically damaging drinking water and wetlands during 5 years of a pipeline construction there. The company pled no contest to the felony criminal charges and paid just a fraction of the fines.
Yeah, they're convicted felons. Think about how extraordinary that is in America, the most pro-business friendly industrialized country in the world, for a corporate citizen to be a felon. I mean, that takes a lot.
We trusted him in the beginning. My family's in the oil and gas business. That's what we do.
The company has always had an easement to maintain that pipeline on Michael's property, and he gave the company full access to his property to fix the damage and clean up the mess.
Every time they set foot on this property, they're damaging something new.
That was a long time ago. But Michael says cooperating with the pipeline giant has been a one-way street.
They've been evasive to us. They've lied. They've actually done the opposite of what they said they would do in all of this cleanup.
They're not doing their job, and they probably haven't been doing their job because it didn't just start leaking.
Energy Transfer told the Railroad Commission the spill from the corroded pipeline was about 400 to 500 barrels of oil only, but admitted it had no flow meter on the pipeline to actually gauge the true release. Landowners don't buy it.
We figure that the pipeline had probably had a slow leak and had been seeping oil potentially for years, until it finally blew from the pressures.
And that apparently is still leaking nearly 2 years later.
This is not just that they haven't properly fixed the pipeline is still leaking more than 650 days after the initial breach.
The spill was on a sensitive wetland, so the oil was primarily floating on the surface at first. Energy Transfer, though, didn't bring in pumper trucks to siphon off the bulk of the oil. They started digging.
This shows you how much soil they dug out.
Contaminated soil that Michael says was dumped without permission, where his family once grew organic pumpkins. Not anymore.
You wake up one day and there's this massive pile of contaminated mixture of trees and oil just dumped into our pumpkin field. I mean, I don't even know how to process this.
And when it rains, Michael says that soil from the pumpkin field now creates another hazard.
It runs straight downhill right on top of our well house where our water well is.
Oh, wow.
So they actually brought this contamination right to our water well.
Nothing but a stray weed has grown here in 2 years. The oil is flowing in that pipeline again, though, even though the cleanup is still going on. A temporary clamp was put on the pipeline, but the cleanup took a back seat.
There's black gold flowing through here. Turn the pipeline on, money, 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 flow this thing. Who knows how many millions of dollars are flowing right underneath this as we speak here.
There's another cost to this disaster. The road to Michael's property now impassable to anything but trucks. We got stuck on that road too.
They messed up our roads. They haven't repaired anything. They haven't brought back the hundreds of truckloads of our fertile soil. They haven't brought any of it back to replace it or remediate any of this stuff.
Energy Transfer didn't replace the pipe when they had it fully exposed 2 years ago, but just before Christmas, the company declared the Leon County problem was suddenly an emergency. But Michael had stopped allowing Energy Transfer to come through his front gate, so they took him to court just before Christmas. These are some of Energy Transfer's lawyers, and like the company, they're not talking.
Can I ask why you won't talk to us? I've been asking. I asked before the hearing.
The judge made Michael open his gate, but warned the company they better do the right thing.
Blocked on my own road and have to drive around to be able to get out of the farm.
What Energy Transfer apparently wants is a lot more money. It's getting bigger and bigger with multi-billion-dollar acquisitions.
At Energy Transfer Partners are more than 10,000 employees.
So let's compare that to what the company offered Michael Frank for destroying his land.
And so we're thinking, okay, oil pipeline companies are going to take care of it and they're do good for the environment. A $1 billion company that's done this much damage is offered us $13,000. That's their settlement. That's actually laughable.